We are live, that's right, and we're going to talk about the biggest talking point in wrestling right now. Mercedes Mone is all elite, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, yes, she is a part of the AEW roster. The worst kept secret in wrestling, of course, was revealed last night. Business is literally going to be booming and about to pick up with Sasha, aka Mercedes Mone, debuting and AEW. But as well as that, we're going to do a live Q&A tonight. So any questions, get yourselves involved tonight. And as well as that, also, we'll be talking about WWE WrestleMania 40. That's right, some new matches have been added to the card this week. So without further ado, we're going to be diving into that. But before everything starts tonight, I've got a guest that's going to be joining me on the show for you right now. He's returning for the first time in quite a while, but I've got to say, it's a pleasure to have him on once again. I'm going to do the usual one to introduce him in because he's a maniac, don't you know? It's the one, the only, Mr. Mex, WrestleManiac UK is in the house. Mex, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel.
Thanks for having me, man. I feel to like throw my hands back like Sasha Banks. Like, we're here. We finally arrived. I appreciate you having me, man.
It's great to have you back, man. And honestly, you've been so busy as of late. So I want to say a big thank you for taking time out to actually be here with us today and tell everybody like what you've been up to, because literally your schedule is crazy right now.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, my name is Max, a pro wrestling content creator. I have my own channel, WrestleManiac UK, and a podcast, WrestleManiac UK Show. Also do some work over with Wrestlings collective of Black creators that, again, we're just trying to present wrestling in different ways, make it fun, create content around that, take you on our journeys. We're off to WrestleMania in the next couple of weeks, so that should be fun, the vlogs again. And then recently I've become a member of the Gorilla Position podcast since, you know, they went on a hiatus kind of through the pandemic, came back this year, added me to the roster, and yeah, just again been podcasting over there. So yeah, very, very busy. But you know, when Steve comes calling, I always say it in any video Steve asks you to be in, the first thing I said, when Steve comes calling, you deliver for Steve. So pleased to be back live doing a Q&A with you.
Absolutely, well, it's great to have you back. And honestly, I must say then, you are like the postman because you always deliver every time that
I try.
But yeah, no, it's great to have you back, man, and congratulations on everything that's been going on for you, man. It's been great to keep up with your journey and seeing how it's going, and very exciting as well, the prospect that you'll be going to WrestleMania 40. You looking forward to that?
Yes, yeah, it was one, like, before when I said, okay, let's go, like I was thinking, do I really need to make this trip? And then obviously in the last kind of 3-4 months, things have just picked up immensely with The Rock coming back around and that big story. And I just think as the closer you get to WrestleMania, that's when the feeling really starts, you know. So I'm happy I'm going. We'll do a lot of kind of stuff as well around networking and just getting to meet some other fans, because I learned from last year, the US fans sometimes have a very different opinion to what we think here in the UK. So it's kind of good to just meet more wrestling fans. I mean, it's why I'm doing what I do in the first place. So yeah.
I actually watched a lot of those videos and was seeing some of those takes and just seeing the reactions from you guys being like, what? You know, it's a bit like, you know, it's a bit of some interesting opinions, but that's what makes it a fantastic wrestling community as well. The fact we all have our voices, we all make ourselves loud and heard. And obviously, like you say, a big stadium feel like WrestleMania as well. It's going to be interesting to see how people will get on. But just before we touch on to the Mercedes Mone news quickly, I'm just going to put you on the spot. As you said, you're going to WrestleMania. Let's just ask the question outright. Is Cody going to finish the story?
Yes, it's time. Like, I love Roman Reigns, one of my favorites, but the Cody story has been told so well. I think more and more now as fans, we understand why he didn't get it done last year. And they've kept him hot, which was the big scare. You know, will people still be interested in a year's time? People are more interested, arguably more interested than they were last year. And obviously with The Rock coming around, we know we're probably heading for The Rock versus Roman at some point next year. So Cody has to get it done now. I remember when Roman Reigns retained last year, I was ecstatic. I was so happy. But then I literally, walking out the stadium, I thought, what next? What do we go from here, sort of thing. So yeah, we can't let lightning strike twice in that regard. Cody has to get it done. And yeah, that I think this will kind of be a new era with Cody at the helm.
Absolutely. I think it could just be as well. It feels like it's time, doesn't it, at this point? And I mean, we've been saying it's boss time for many, many years in WWE to transition over, but now it's CEO time. Mercedes Mone, of course, now is all elite, of course, joining the company now in AEW. And what was your initial reaction? Obviously, it's not we said it's the worst kept secret at the top of the show there, but at the same time, she's now joined obviously in Boston, Massachusetts, her hometown. Whole show basically dedicated after her. How did you feel? Because it kind of, in my way of looking at it, it felt very CM Punk-esque, the way it was just like the show started. There was a big silence, a big gap, and then obviously the music just hits, and then there she is, she's coming out. What was your response to Mercedes Mone? Obviously, how she was introduced to AEW, what she said in the ring, and what's your takes from your reaction?
Well, I'd argue this was even worse than CM Punk. Like CM Punk was one flippant line from Derby. It was Chicago. People put two and two together. This was like basically, boss everywhere. We had, of course, even on the yesterday, she tweeted Boston with the double dollar signs. When Renee Paquette was opening the show, we saw the Mercedes Maybach pull up, like. All of the signs were there in case you weren't aware. And then, she came out at the top of the show, like you said. And for me, I just feel I'm very happy for her. I know as fans, we tend to like, oh, we want her here, let her go to this company or whatever the case is. But I think for me, it's just, a step forward. She's been someone in this industry that, I mean, I can honestly say without her and Bailey, that takeover match they had, I probably don't care about women's wrestling as much as I do. I'm super about women's wrestling, and it's literally down to her and Bailey. And I think from there they had a great part to play in the evolution, the what they call it, the evolution of women's wrestling over there, in WWE, 4 horsewomen type stuff. Then she comes over to New Japan, kind of sets something up there, although unfortunately I think New Japan didn't follow through of the hard work that Mercedes done to go over there. She's now coming over to AEW. On the night, she looked like a complete star. Like she just looked incredible in terms of having a woman propelled to the same stature as like a CM Punk, who is just renowned in wrestling. I thought was incredible, because you don't see that for women at all. And yeah, I think the actual segment was like not much. Like there wasn't a pipe bomb or anything like that. She was just kind of being celebrated by her Boston crowd. But just to see that she had that kind of reception, she was given this kind of opportunity. They rolled out the red carpet for her. I just think that she is a star. They are now forced to treat her as one. They are now forced to raise the profile of the women's division in AEW. And like she did in WWE, she walked out because she wasn't really happy with how things were being booked. They dare not get to a scenario where that happens this time, because as fans, we will know about it. But on the night, she just looked incredible.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, like the way that she was introduced, obviously, it felt very important. Obviously, we all knew it was coming, we knew it was happening, but at the same time, the fact that she came out, obviously, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the music as of yet, but the thing is, you can see that people catching on quickly with the CEO stuff, and people were chanting it, very heavily, very quickly, as they should do in Boston. We'll see if everyone else catches along very quickly. But like you said, she played it safe in the ring. I feel like with everything she said. Obviously, I'm not sure I buy into this "I'm home" stuff. I've heard it all before, but at the same time,
I think that comment was to do with Boston more so than AEW.
Yeah, I would hope so. If we're putting 2 and 2 together, hopefully you've got 4 and I've got 5. Because if she's saying it with AEW, we've seen the interview that she's done where she said she's got unfinished business in WWE. So it's kind of like, it's a bit. Is it a stepping stone? What's the journey? What's the length? What's the deal? We don't know. We have to wait and see how it's going to play out. But I do kind of feel though, like it was safe, but it did what it needed to do because of the fact that she showed that she's there. It's a big time field. She's technically set up that first program as well, if you want. Obviously, saying there's unfinished business of Willow Nightingale. Of course, that's from New Japan, with the New Japan Strong Women's Championship as well. So, could you see that sort of a match that they could look to perhaps do later down the line, say it to AEW Dynasty? Maybe could be a placement for that to just get her off the mark.
Yeah, I think that's probably the first match. Obviously, it looked like with obviously all the characters in that segment that she's kind of entering herself into the TBS division, which
Mm.
in some respects, I know a lot of people think no, she's above that, but at the same time, I think there's a nice thing of like starting from the bottom, working your way up, because of course she could walk into the title picture tomorrow, but then people say that she's being over pushed and all that kind of stuff. So personally, which might be against a lot of people's opinions, I wouldn't actually mind if she went like to the TBS division, won that title, obviously, but then like helped put over that kind of lower card of the division. But yeah, even that, I don't think that's the plan. I think it's just straight to kind of pick up where she left off professionally, which was with Willow. Probably, like you said, AEW Dynasty, gets a win over Willow, and then yeah, just starts working her way up from there.
I would hope so. I feel like, as you said there, like to work with the TBS division is totally fine. Julia Hart's been a fantastic champion. She's done great works in improving rising talent. And I think with the idea, Mercedes says she wants to work with that entire locker room. She's excited to work with everyone in that locker room. There was some great talent there. And obviously, you imagine, like, obviously, with AEW, they've not always given the much time, the women's division, sometimes with their matches, their programs. You feel with Mercedes, it's that big of a deal. Everything that she's probably going to do, there's going to be time given to it. It's going to be treated like main events, the hot segments of the show. And it's going to give people an opportunity to really break out and not just, have their one moment against Mercedes Mone, but hopefully push that division to new heights. Could you really see that happening with Mercedes now being in AEW?
Yeah, like you said, she spoke about obviously working with the whole division and putting like this division on the map and stuff like that. And even as she was doing that promo, the first thing I thought of is like they did once upon a time in WWE is the all women's pay-per-view. Like something like that they could probably do. They've got more than enough talent to do it across AEW and Ring of Honor. So yeah, I could definitely see them, doing that. I think we saw the effects of her being around straight away, albeit because she got involved in the main event segment. The women main evented a Dynamite.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember the last time that happened until maybe way back in the pandemic when I think it was Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. They had like a no disqualification match or something like that.
Yeah. Was that like a St. Patrick's Day Slam? Was it back
That's the
back
one.
in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
day?
yeah. I think that's the last one I can remember where women main evented, and that's probably about 2.5 years ago at this point.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, women's main events in wrestling on TV shows are rare regardless, but yeah, now that's like the immediate effect we're seeing her get involved. So yeah, I think we're in for something. The women's division, all of the women now should see this as a positive, not like a big stars coming in to take opportunities. You should see this as, right, I need to raise my game because she's come obviously with the likes of the reputation to get us more opportunities. So when my opportunity comes, I need to stand up. I need to, pay attention. She even, as we kind of saw a couple of weeks ago, she's come with the lady from WWE Creative, Jennifer Pepperman, who
Yeah.
walked out as a writer, but she's like walked into some massive creative role in AEW, beyond just being a writer. So there's a lot of opportunity here for that entire division. It's just unfortunately or fortunately, Mercedes is the spearhead. She's gonna be the savior. She's got to be the one that drives it, I guess.
Absolutely. I'm gonna want us to get into the chat. Obviously, we'll be probably continuing to talk about Mercedes Moné throughout this entire episode. But just before we do, I want to get 3 matches you're most looking forward to with Mercedes Moné in All Elite Wrestling.
I think straight off the bat, Jamie Hayter. I think once she returns, that is the match that everyone's going to be waiting for, because in terms of just wrestling, pure wrestling ability, I think Jamie Hayter is probably the best that they have, one of the best they have. So her and Mercedes is that, if anything, is a main event, even of a pay-per-view. Like
Yeah.
they need to do that. God, you said 3. I think just from a fun TV character perspective, her and Britt Baker could be really good. Whenever Britt Baker chooses to return to TV, I think her and Saraya as well. Sasha Banks was the person that ultimately caused the retirement of Paige. So if that's something they can pick up on, I know Saraya's kind of way down the card at the minute, but that could be something. And I guess if I can throw in a cheeky wild card, I'll maybe go for Athena,
Oh,
because
yes.
Athena, like, right now she's getting loads of good exposure in Ring of Honor, but if we're all honest with ourselves, she's above Ring of Honor. So yeah, she needs to find her way to the main roster of, or whatever the AEW call their main show, and yeah, that needs to be the one that really kind of helps propel Athena more than anything to a mainstay on AEW TV.
I love all of those selections, by the way. I'm just going to add in, Saraya was probably my top choice just because of the fact, like you said, that the history they have. I think it's an easy story they can put together, and they usually don't mind diving into WWE history in AEW. I mean, obviously, they said she's a former 7-time world champion, so obviously, where else has she done that? You know, obviously, I suppose with the New Japan Strong Women's Championship, but a lot of those are going to be from WWE. But yeah, I mean, I would say the Deonna Purrazzo is one that I'd like to see. I think Deonna's fantastic in ring. I would like to see a good opportunity to have more breakout moments other than just being in the Women's Championship picture and then fading them to obscurity. I really like the Athena shout. That's one that I think may have to be number 3 because although Jamie Hayter was the spot, Athena deserves more TV time. Like you said, she needs to get to the next level, because I'm going to be honest, I don't watch Ring of Honor, and what I have seen when she's in there, she's bloody brilliant. So yeah, I would like to see her transition and move herself back into the top picture. Really, I think it'll be a lot better in my personal opinion. But let's go into the chat and see what everyone's got to say, because obviously this is a Q&A after all. So get yourselves involved with anything you want to talk about. Could be Mercedes Mone, could be WrestleMania. We'll be talking about WrestleMania later in the stream as well, and of course any topics of anything between. Could be just big business, AEW in general. Could even be just simply WWE. So get yourselves involved. Let's go through the chat. And Pierre has got a few comments to kick us off here. It says, just like Michael Cole would say, it's CEO time. Thankfully, we won't go. Do you reckon Excalibur gets that role now?
What, he says it's boss time or something?
It's CEO time every time she comes out.
Nah, no chance. One thing I did say, obviously, you commented on the new theme. At first, I thought, where is her New Japan theme? And this, I was thinking, and obviously you got the hint of the Gunter, the Walter Symphony 9 in there as well on the sample. But it made sense. The minute she was walking down to the ring, the Titron was going CEO, CEO. The crowd were chanting CEO. I said, they've done it. Like, they've literally told the crowd what we need to address her as. There's no more boss. It's no more, Sasha Banks. Like, they have literally programmed. It's almost like literally like a code. They've told everyone, this is what we need to call her now. And yeah, I think it's just a very smart marketing play. I still don't know how I feel about the music, but as a marketing play, I think it was genius.
100% agree with you. Yeah, like you say, I'm not sure I'm into the music side of it yet, but sometimes songs you hear for the first time on the radio, you think, oh, I'm not sure what I think about that. Within a month, you're singing along to every single word. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't mean I sing it good, by the way. It might be bad half of the time, but still, I sing along regardless. But PS says, can we now have Timeless Tony Storm versus Mercedes Mone for the AEW World Championship? It's a dream match, and they're 2 biggest stars of AEW right now in that women's division. I'm sure we will get that at some point in the future. But I would like Mercedes to kind of, like you said, work away to that position because of the fact that we've seen many of us. Athena was one of them actually back in the day, obviously, but it was for the TBS Championship. They come in, they go for the title. Deonna's currently suffering this as well. You lose, where'd you go? There's not really anybody. If you're not in, because AEW, like we said, don't have multiple women's matches per show a lot of the time. They've started recently creeping in, I think, to Collision. I think they've started doing it. Hopefully, it can creep into Dynamite as well. But it doesn't happen so often. So if you're not actually involved in the championship program, usually you're not involved. So hopefully Mercedes can actually create that, and then she can work her way to a championship picture later in the year.
Yeah, I think that's what it's about, just producing more opportunities, if not the actual matches, because sometimes, there'll be some matches that might take precedence over others, more segments, at least more times to tell stories. We've got, and this is the big thing when they brought in Saraya that I was really looking forward to, because Saraya will always have her own story because of the size of personnel she was at that time anyway. And then Britt Baker would always have her own story, and then if Britt Baker wasn't champion, the champion would have a story, but that didn't kind of stay consistent. But we will see now, like Toni Storm wasn't on TV last night, but we had Deonna Purrazzo telling that story. But at the same time, Mercedes was all over it with what she was doing as well. So there will now be the championship story at the very least, and then the Mercedes Moné story. So yeah, more time for the women.
Absolutely, that's what we love to see. Hopefully, with AEW, because I think that's just something that will just people then will take it seriously. Where if in the movements and stuff like that, it's great seeing like, oh, they get the odd main event match here, or the odd this, that, and the odd that. Like, they've been booking it better, but once I see more quantity of women's wrestling on weekly AEW TV, I think then I will really start to buy into the ethos that it's kind of like, yes, we are seeing like the women being treated. Because obviously in WWE you can see 4 women's matches in a row. It's so commonplace. You don't even bat an eyelid now. You don't think about it, which is really good to see. But when it comes to AEW, we haven't seen that. So I'm hoping this is going to be the tide of that will turn from this point. But hello to Eric Douglas. Easy for me to say. Hope you're doing well, Eric. Thank you for checking out the stream. We've got a couple more comments from Pierre before we can mix it up with everyone. I don't want to lose comments, so that way I'm just keeping them in order for now. Cannot wait for Danielson versus Ospreay at Dynasty. Dynasty for us, Dynasty for you in America. But we'll try and keep it American as best as I can. But he does say as well, and let me say, Will Ospreay, really incredible on the microphone. He does incredible promo. How you found Will Ospreay on the mic so far in AEW? Because we said CEO is a great marketing play. Bruv is really getting over well as well.
The Americans are eating up, bruv. And every time he does it, like, I'm just laughing. I'm just thinking, you know exactly what you're doing. And yeah, I think with Will coming over to American TV as it was, the big kind of questioning point was, does he have that promo in him? Can he connect? He's very much the match guy that, you know, everyone can rely on for a banging match. But, you know, can he connect with fans in a promo? And he does. The way they're kind of, you know, booking him right now, he's going to be the top babyface in this company if he's not already, sort of thing, because he's just going out being really personable. Like, he was out there in his custom big up blacksmith that make the stuff for him, England-esque jersey with a tracksuit bottom on, like very British, very chavvy, like all of that kind of stuff. And like, they just love it. They're eating it up completely. So yeah, there's big things ahead for Will, definitely.
Yeah. I have to agree. Like, just the way he seems, it feels almost infectious. You know, it's really enjoyable watching him do promos. But even the same when you've seen him do, you know, he can do dastardly things on the screen. But like when he was in AEW before with the Don Callis family, but you put him in the press conference, the media scrums, and he's almost like, you introduce him to your grandma. Do you know what I mean? Like the way he's just sitting there, he's happy to be there. Do you know what I mean? He's got a real sort of cheeky, chappy kind of way about him. But it's very infectious, and a lot of people are really taken to Will very quickly in AEW. And it just goes to show, like you say, he's going to be a big time player. Do you reckon? I'm going to just ask this question. I'm kind of sorry to the people that have got the questions in, but Will Ospreay All In, is an AEW World Championship match too soon for him at All In this year?
I don't know about too soon. I don't know. I mean, me personally, I think he's winning it at All In. I think whether it's Joe or Swerve that's champion by then, I think you can't pass up the opportunity, especially after seeing, you know, his reception last year. You can't pass up the opportunity to make a British man a world champion in Britain on that scale, like on pay-per-view. You can't miss that opportunity. And I don't want to kind of make it seem like tokenism, because last year with putting the world championship on Saraya, it felt a bit tokenism, although it was a feel-good moment because our family was there and stuff, but it felt a bit like, okay, we're ticking a box here, you know, for the Brits, for the UK crowd. With Will, we ain't ticking no box. Like, it's definitely deserved, and it's just gonna be an iconic moment that I think will really help. Like, UK, I think, is AEW's second biggest crowd, like after the US. Like, you can't miss this opportunity. I will have serious questions on their direction if they don't do it, as long as obviously he stays fit and the story's right and all of that kind of stuff.
I kind of hope for the same as well. I felt myself, Richie was always like, the World Championship's happening. But obviously, I feel like he's come in. What's going to happen? Like you said, Joe and Swerve got their stuff going on. I think Hangman's going to come back into the picture when he returns. I can see Swerve and Hangman doing it one more time for the championship. So if it doesn't, maybe the International Championship could be a placement, because that seems to be a well-respected title. But like you said, I think the world title is the one. Well, I'm biased, so I'm going to want that as well. But I do agree with you. It would be deserved, because he would carry the mantle and he would carry it with ease and do it well.
Yeah. I think, put it this way, do you see him losing, especially bear in mind we got the rankings back now, do you see him losing between now and August?
No.
Because if you don't, then he's going to be top by August. He's going to be top of the rankings, which means he's going to need a world title match. So
I think you make a good point there. The only way he starts losing matches is if Don Callis' family starts turning on him, and obviously that's cemented in the potential realms as well. But yeah, it's interesting. I was going to play out for Will Ospreay, but I have to agree, Infectious doing very well on the mic. Eric Douglas here asking us to rank the 4 horsewomen from 1 to 4, giving his take here as well. It says Mercedes 1, Bailey 2, Becky 3, Charlotte 4. It's a very difficult question, but Mex, we like to ask tough questions here. So yeah, but how would you rank them if you had to?
I mean, are we talking like my personal favorite, or are we talking like in terms of kayfabe accolades in wrestling?
Let's go with personal favorite, because I feel like accolades, we'd have to come with the same answer. So I think let's have a bit of personal feeling into it.
Okay, if it's personal, I will probably say Mercedes, Charlotte, Bailey, Becky.
Fair.
Yeah, I think for me, Mercedes is, like I said, since TakeOver, she's been my favorite for a long time. I think Charlotte Flair is incredible, and I know she gets over pushed, and her dad is who her dad is, and the WWE love her, but I think Charlotte Flair doesn't get enough flowers, although it seems like she does. I don't think she does. Like, she's so good. I think Bailey is a complete unsung hero. That it looks like this year WrestleMania, she will hopefully get some recognition for all her hard work. And I think Becky Lynch is someone that I've come to appreciate now. I wasn't necessarily a fan at first. The man stuff, obviously, from like 2018 helped a lot. And I think Becky has worked incredibly hard, especially over the last year as well. I hate to put her fourth because it makes it seem that she's last, but yeah, I love all of them. I love all these a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, to put anyone 4, by the way, doesn't mean we dislike them. I think all of them are fantastic. So it's hard to actually do this, Eric. It's a very unfair question, of being honest. But if we're going to do it, I will go with Becky, number 1, because I have been a big fan of Becky Lynch with the stuff she's done. Like she said, she continues to do great work. Mercedes probably number 2, Charlotte 3, and Bailey 4. I feel horrible putting anyone 4, but like you said there, I think Bailey gets the unsung moments. She's someone that does. If you think of a sports team, for example, that you like, I mean, for obviously we're both soccer fans. Football, it's actually football for the American fans. Yeah. You have the players, the unsung heroes that do the hard work, the dirty stuff in the middle that people don't notice. They see the goal scorers, they see the people that make the saves. They don't see the people that actually win the battle in the middle. Do not bring up Declan Rice. But at the same time, yes.
I was just about to, because I thought you're a West Ham fan, I'm an Arsenal fan. That's the common denominator. But even Declan Rice is a quick example. Like, I thought, like, he's a good player, but I didn't really see the hype that he was coming around his name. I remember, I think the year that England got to the final of the Euros and lost to Italy, I said Declan Rice is incredible. Like this, that's when I really watched him, and I thought, yeah, this guy is brilliant. And yeah, pretty much an unsung hero. So good example, Steve. That was you said it, not me.
Yeah, Bailey is a unsung hero, absolutely indeed. And like you say, she should hopefully get her moment at WrestleMania this year. But great question, Eric. Thank you for putting it in for us. Pierre has said here, I'm going to sort of paraphrase it if you don't mind, Pierre, but has said Willow Nightingale is a controversial opinion. It shouldn't be the first opponent for Mercedes Mone. In fact, believes there should be a better opponent for Mercedes Mone. However, Temple Plays in House, Temple, thank you for getting involved, says that this should be for the TBS Championship All In. Would love to see it. A long history of both ladies involved, and thinks it would be a great match to do first off. So we have two sort of different sides of the fence opinions. Where do you stand on this for a Mercedes Mone Willow Nightingale match? Do you reckon it should be the first opponent, or do you reckon it's not something to do?
I think it's fine. I think we know, like, Mercedes is going to come in. She's going to be in AEW for at least 3 years, so she's going to have time to, apart from injury, which you don't wish on anyone, she's gonna have time to go through all of these ladies. You don't want to kind of hot shot her to the so-called dream matches. And if we're quite honest with ourselves, right now, who are those big names that she could fight right now? Toni Storm is the champion, so if she fights Toni Storm, she's going for the championship. If we say not Toni Storm, I mean, a real question here, Steve, maybe you could help me out. Who else is the big names right now in that women's division
that are present? That's the big thing as well, because like you say, Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, there are big names, and I won't put my neck out here. I think Britt Baker returns next week or whenever this tag team match is meant to take place, because her and Diana are meant to be good friends, I believe.
Yeah,
so if Britt's good to go, then that would make sense to bring her back in with Diana. And then
That's
if
a good
Diana
shout.
loses between now, because AEW seem to like to. I was going to do a video on the match card predictions. I like to do that every month with these sort of pay-per-views coming up. Then I thought to myself, oh well, Dynasty's coming up. It's quite fun. All of a sudden, we've got already Ospreay and Danielson announced, and then you think, so I've got ideas like Okada and Kingston can happen. They're doing it next week. They're not waiting about. Some of these things come flying out. You know, this is going to be old very quickly. So that video is going to be put on hold for the minute, everybody. But what I will say is very quickly is like you say there, what do you do? So I mean, maybe Diana could go for that, but I think Britt Baker could be the one that could come in and would be a good one for Toni Storm, probably in that way. But that would be a big time match for Mercedes Mone as well. I still think Saraya, just because of the fact of the history, would be the big name that's outside of a championship picture, because she's got name value, even though she's not used probably to what the name value is for Saraya, I would say. Right now at present, she's on Rampage a lot, which I'll be honest, I don't watch Rampage. I just don't have the time to watch Rampage. But you know, I think that would be good. I'd be fine with Willow Nightingale, as Temple said in the chat there, that actually she has history of Willow Nightingale. They have stuff there that she's been name dropped as well. So I think it would be a good match. And I think actually, for those that think it's not a big time match or a big enough match, this is an opportunity for not just Willow Nightingale, but also Mercedes to back themselves up here, because with a big, say, 15-20 minute match they could have on an AEW pay-per-view, first off, you got Mercedes having that big stamp of like, I can help elevate and make new stars even if I'm still winning, but also they can have big breakout moments to people that are competing against her, because Willow Nightingale, yes, she's at a main event now on I was going to say Dynamite, was big business, but when you look at it with these other shows coming up, she could go through the other side and say, right, okay, I now can push forward and push for the TBS Championship or push higher because of the fact that I've had this program with Mercedes Mone and I've been elevated outside the other side of it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot for her to do. And this is why I initially said, even if she was going for the TBS title, me personally, I wouldn't have an issue with it, because yeah, it's the secondary belt, but she can elevate that secondary belt same way Christian's elevated the TNT title in recent times. So yeah, I wouldn't have an issue for it if you got the title on Willow Nightingale and then later on this year that was a match. But I would probably think later on this year you definitely would have seen a return of a Britt Baker, a Jamie Hayter, or you do by then Mercedes versus Toni Storm. So for now, I think this is absolutely fine. But if we're talking, you know, summer, all in or all out, you know, that's August, September, I think some of those people that we're calling the big hitters would definitely be back by then to do like a bigger match for those pay-per-views.
I agree. I do agree, and hopefully it will happen as well. Apparently, Shida and Saraya main evented the 200 episode of Dynamite, so probably was the last time there was a women's main event.
That's correct. I think that's when Shida won the title from her, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. One of those times that she'd have won the title, because the last couple of them have been a bit more short term, shall we just say? Mercedes versus Hayter, main event of All In. I would not be against. I don't know if it main event All In, but it would actually certainly be a great match for All In.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, Jamie Hayter's from Southampton. She's from the UK, so that would be big for the crowd. I think even if you do something like Mercedes versus a Toni Storm at All In, and Mercedes wins the title, and you get straight away Jamie Hayter comes out, decks her, like the UK crowd would eat that up. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities.
Absolutely. Temple's predicting here that Hayter is beating Toni Storm at Wembley for the AEW World title. That could be a possibility that could happen as well, should she come back. It's an interesting, there's a lot of variables now. Mercedes, Jamie Hayter, when she returns, timeless Toni Storm. We've got Deonna Purrazzo. Britt Baker may make her say as well. So it can be interesting to see what's going to happen, how it's going to go down. So let's see what's going to happen. But Pierre, also not a fan of the music, but does like the idea of the CEO stuff as well going on. And he preferred her song to herself in New Japan. Fair play on that one.
I think she made this one herself as well. I think she's the one that's rapping on it.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I see, learning stuff all the time. It's pretty good. Noob says, hello everyone, how we're doing very well, Noob. Thank you for checking us out. Hope you are doing well as well. And we're going to switch things over to WWE for the minute now, because Temple's saying here, I'm gutted Chad Gable is not the one to beat Gunther at WrestleMania, but I'll take Sami Zayn any time of the week. I'm hoping WWE make it a triple threat match. So let's talk about that gauntlet match. And obviously, like we said, we've got a match added to the WrestleMania card. It's in the title of this video. So Temple, thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, we've got Gunther versus Sami Zayn. seen obviously Sammy winning the gauntlet. Chad Gable's shoulders didn't look fully down to me. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, Chad Gable has been great and get everyone emotionally invested in his side of his story. The digital exclusive he had after Raw this week, if anyone's not seen, is absolutely fantastic. If that doesn't make you want to see Gable on WrestleMania winning a title, I don't know what will. But can you see a way that this could turn into a triple threat match, or are you satisfied with Gunther versus Sammy one-on-one?
Yeah, I'm satisfied with the one-on-one match. I think when it comes to WrestleMania, we're sometimes we're too hung up on getting everyone on the card, which I know is a big payday for them, and that's why WWE in general try to do it. But from a point of view of Gunther last year, we saw him have a triple threat match, probably the greatest, one of the greatest WrestleMania matches in history, if we're honest. Like him and Sheamus and Drew McIntyre was brilliant. So to put him in another triple threat match this year, I don't know. I don't think it's the move. With Sami Zayn, I think what we get is a very high level competitive match, which Sami Zayn loses. I don't think he's going to win it. I don't think he should be in the Intercontinental title hunt. I think he's above it at this point, or we need to get him above it. We need to elevate him. And I'll just say now, my early prediction is that Sami Zayn is winning Money in the Bank. Okay. With Chad Gable, I think what we saw was WWE obviously had him in and around this title picture. What was it? October, November last year. They dropped the ball. He didn't obviously win, which was fine, but they dropped the ball on his pursuit of that title. And now it's like they're trying to make him serious again. He's wearing suits. We haven't seen him with the Alpha Academy on TV in weeks. And I felt with this loss and that promo that you talked about online, now the Chad Gable story is starting now, sort of thing. Like the loss showed me that it's starting. The promo showed me it's starting. And I think now Chad Gable is like the Cody Rhodes of the situation, chasing down Gunther, who is the Roman Reigns sort of thing. This is what he's aiming for. And I think Chad Gable will be the person to dethrone Gunther. He's just going to have to wait for his chance after WrestleMania.
It's gonna be interesting how it's going to play out. I wouldn't be surprised if this does turn into a triple threat. But like you said there, we got it last year. I do think that Sammy and Gunther is going to be an incredible match one-on-one. We've not had it. We've had it on Raw in this last sort of 12 months, but it's not felt like a proper match. Like WrestleMania is the caliber where you're going to get it for like 20, 25 minutes and they both going to steal the show. Sammy's amazing at selling a story, probably selling those chops pretty well as well. I know Gable has got the emotional investment in the story right now as well. But yeah, I mean, Gunther's has been a fantastic, the best Intercontinental champion of all time, not just the longest, he's been the best. There's no arguments in it, I think, at this point. I want to ask just one further question or one further suggestion just before we move on, just to see if I can change your mind, Mex. Because if Sammy was to win the Intercontinental Championship, and there is rumors that Randy Orton versus Logan Paul will be for the United States Championship, but Kevin Owens is sniffing around that picture still as well. What if one of the nights Owens wins the US title, the next night Sammy wins the IC title, and we kind of get a bit of a best friends celebrating with titles in the ring, kind of like two people did at WrestleMania 20, which will not be mentioned.
Yeah. Well, at least we can't mention one of them. I think that's a very possible. People like those feel-good moments, especially between Sammy and KO. However, I do think KO will find himself in the US title match. So I think that will be the triple threat, maybe. Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and Logan Paul for the US title. And then we get the singles match between Sami Zayn and Gunther. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind the moment. I wouldn't mind the moment at all.
It would be quite cool to see. And it's also quite cool to see Jones in the house. Jones, hope you're doing well. It's Jones's birthday, everybody. So give Jonesy some love. Happy birthday, Jonesy. You're having a great day, mate. He's also gone on to say, I think Mercedes' CEO character would be far better as a heel. Question is, will she go the same way as other XW signings in AEW and lose any hype after the first quarter in the company? Ooh. And actually says it expects Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes at Wembley. What do you think? Do you reckon, obviously, it's a big statement there. I don't see the hype going with Mercedes. I think that they've probably worked really hard to get her in there. I can't see them dropping the ball with her. They'll do what they need to make her happy and keep her over.
Yeah, like I said, they can't afford to drop the ball with her. Like, we've literally seen her leave a company because they dropped the ball with her. And the women's tag division over in WWE, her and Naomi walked out. She literally is about her business. She will voice her opinion, and AEW don't need any negative press over how they've dealt with her, sort of thing. So I don't think they can. And most of all, they're paying too much money to, not to say like she's not worth it, but they are paying so much money that she has to be on TV. They have to make the merch. She has to draw big on their TV shows. She pulled in 8,000 people into TD Gardens last night. I don't know the last time they've had 8,000 people in attendance. They've been struggling. They've been around 1,005, 2,000 people. So that alone, yes, it was Boston, but that alone should show you that she is big business, like the like the show said. So we can't afford to mess her about, because she's already said that I'll be back going to the other place. So yeah.
We'll see how it'll play out. But yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, the Sting attendance was great, but Sting's not stuck around. Sting's retired now. It was the one-off for that. Mercedes is here and she's going to be sticking around, so she can keep those numbers going. It's going to be interesting to see how it'll be. Like you said, they can't afford to drop that ball. Pierce says, do we think Sami Zayn before joining the Bloodline was the most underrated talent in WWE ever? That's a big question when you say ever, Mex.
Yeah, it's a big way to kind of put it. I think he is very underrated, but the thing is with like right now with WWE, it's so stacked that like you people are literally like on a merry-go-round waiting for their turn. We made Damian Priest Money in the Bank, and at the time that looked like a brilliant idea, but now like it's like, when is he gonna get in? When is he gonna get his chance? When is he gonna get his opportunity? I don't know how they're gonna even deal with him. In terms of Sami Zayn, I think before he was doing, what was that gimmick that he was doing? Like some type of socialist kind of Che Guevara kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like it was very kind of weird. But then he found his way into politicking with the Bloodline. It became a bit, funny and comedy-ish, even though then they tried to convey him into a serious character. Sami Zayn is just an all-round brilliant talent. Like I said earlier, we need to get him into the world title picture. And I think if we get a Drew as champion, Drew McIntyre outside of WrestleMania, after WrestleMania, and Sami as, Money in the Bank briefcase holder, who's had previous with Drew in the last few months, that could be very interesting.
It could be very interesting indeed. I'm going to be fascinated with Sami's story this year, because I agree with you with Money in the Bank right now for Sami Zayn for that. And I could see, like, imagine that big pop in Canada if he was to win it on the same night as well. It feels like, because Damian Priest has held it for so long, you feel he would have a quick cash in if he won it as well. It feels like it would be right with that. So, but as to just say, most underrated talent in WWE ever. I mean, ever is a big word. So, I mean, I can't think of another name off the top of my head, but I'm sure I do have some ahead of Sami Zayn as most underrated talent ever.
I mean, Chad Gable, I would say, is more underrated than Sami Zayn to start with. There's a lot. I think Ricochet is one of the best talents this world has seen, and he's doing next to nothing. So I think people know his talent. I guess his usage might be a bit underplayed. He should be maybe in more important stuff, but I wouldn't say he's like overly underrated. Definitely not the most underrated ever.
No, obviously, yeah. I would say, for me, if I had to pick a name out of a hat now, and I'm going way back in yesteryear, although he has been in the WWE roster as late as last year, Shelton Benjamin would be one I think that's definitely was a massively underrated talent in the ever category. I'd say that Will Ospreay's bruv was getting over. Temple Plays throwing in the bruv there. He says that the Rev Pro match with Michael Oku and Will Ospreay was ridiculously good. Was you in attendance for that, or did you?
Yeah, I was. That was, God, going back now. I think that was like the top of 2022, January 2022, February 2022. Up till today, that is the best match I have seen live. Gunter and Drew McIntyre and Sheamus ran it close last year, but I think I'm sticking with Oku and Ospreay as the best live match I've ever seen.
I mean, to be fair, it's a match I haven't seen, but by the sounds of it, it feels like it must be a match that I need to see. If you've seen the likes of Drew against Sheamus versus Gunther at WrestleMania last year, which was a 5-star match, if that one tops it, yeah, we're gonna need to see that one. Joseph says, who wins out of Edge and Christian next week? And would you add someone else to Christian's stable to the family? Who have you got winning next week?
So is the TNT title on the line in this quick match?
Yes, and it is in Canada as well.
I think the right thing to do is go with Edge or Copeland. Sorry, I think yeah, it's this Christian's second run after losing it for like 5 minutes. It's been good, it's been decent, but I feel like we can just do other stuff. Like if Edge wins the title, he can go back to doing the Cope Open stuff and, you know, be trading off with kind of new talents every week, until he eventually might drop it to like a Daniel Garcia or someone like that. But yeah, I think let's change the title. The good guy needs to get his, you know, the bad guy needs to get his comeuppance. He needs to be embarrassed. He needs to be the one that says I quit, and then we go from there.
I agree with you. I think the time is, you know, Owen Hart once said it's time for a change. And I think now is the right time for it because Christian's had the championship now, since just after, I think it was All In. I think he won the title just around the All Out period, which then led into Wrestle Dream. So, yeah, I would say that it's probably time now for a change. Like I say, he dropped the title for 5 minutes at World's End, but is it really Is it really feel like he's lost the championship? Not really when it's been for 5 minutes. So it's time to freshen things up. He's done great things for the TNT title. It's floundering before it went to Christian Cage's hands. He's rescued that championship. It means a lot more than what he did beforehand. And I think now for Copeland, like you said, that's fantastic. The way he could do if he was to win this title, he could then, like you say, it could be the Open Challenge season once again. Daniel Garcia was a perfect match to do as well because of the fact that they have, when you look back at it, you know, they were doing the number one contenders match. Obviously, Garcia got it, but he didn't beat Copeland. So that there's a natural way to do that match instantly. But to answer the second question here, would I add someone to Christian's family at this point? I don't know if I would add anyone else at this point. The only one I would say would be good if he was to return to AEW, and it's if he was to return, because he seems to be suspended and seems to be lost in another group in New Japan at this point. I think Jungle Boy coming back would probably be the best one to come back in, almost like you tried to do it on your own, like you tried to be the teenager that sort of like, you know, broke away, but then you've had to come home to daddy because daddy can fix the bills for you because you've messed up.
Yeah, that's a great shout. And obviously we know Christian has a thing of talents that don't have dads. And unfortunately, Jungle Boy's lost his dad as well. So yeah, that could be a good shout to include back.
We'll have to see how it will play out. It says, how do we see WrestleMania Night 2 ending? Does Cody win or does he lose again? We've actually already answered this question in the stream already, but Jonesy, as it's your birthday, we'll do it one more time. Does Cody finish the story, Mex?
Yeah, 100%. It's time. Let Roman go off into the sunset and let him and Rock point fingers at each other until next year WrestleMania, where surely they have their match. And yeah, it's time for Cody to do it and, you know, rise up some new challenges for this title.
I completely agree, and there's no more I need to add to it. Mex has said it perfectly. It's how I feel about it. PS says, do you think since Drew McIntyre's turn that heel McIntyre does the best run of his career right now? He's certainly up there with it. I'm loving the confidence. I'm loving the saltiness of Drew, let's say. He's not cutting corners, and I think sometimes that can make a lot of fun for TV, and he's really working well with his heel magic right now.
Yeah, obviously for those that know or don't know, Drew's contract currently is running down. Like his contract expires, I believe, the day after Mania, and he's very much behaving on TV like someone that just doesn't give a damn anymore, and he's just doing whatever he likes, sort of thing. And yeah, this is very interesting. You know, it's almost a thing of he is, I'll probably say he is a heel, but what I think he's displaying more than anything is that he's a human. Like, he's just fed up. He's had enough. He doesn't understand why the likes of Seth Rollins are being involved in the bloodline stuff when you've got a big title match over here. Yeah, I do think he's definitely on the more heelish side of things. But I think what Triple H is doing in his regime is trying to scrap the fact that people can be heels and faces and just be actual human beings. I think we saw it with Bianca Belair the other day when she was telling Naomi, you know, don't trust Bailey, and when Naomi seemed to be taking pity on Bailey, and everyone said, oh, Bianca Belair's turning heel and stuff like that. I just think that Bianca Belair's not an idiot. Like, she suffered at the hands of Bailey and Damage Control for a whole year. So now that, yeah, she's a good guy, like, I'm not gonna just, you know, allow her back into my good book, sort of thing. The same we saw with Jey Uso when Jey Uso got moved over to Raw. It wasn't like, oh, I'm a babyface now, and all the baby faces gave him a hug. Everyone was still skeptical of him because of all the bloodline stuff. So I just think it's just really cool character stuff. In terms of the best run of his career, I really still loved when his run to the title, the initial title over the pandemic. I thought the way they built him up, the way he won the Rumble, the way he wasn't scared of Lesnar and won the title, for me, it was just great. Obviously, we never had the crowd. But this is, yeah, I would say definitely for me, second best run that I've seen of Drew McIntyre.
I think if Drew can get the title at WrestleMania, I would say then I may feel that this may surpass the original, because obviously that Royal Rumble match is one of the best Rumble matches of all time,
Yeah.
and like you say, the build of that was fantastic. And Drew did carry the pandemic. Let's be fair, we're all stuck at home, can't do anything, and Drew was literally the guy that was like, giving you something to watch every Monday night, and when half of the roster wasn't there. So Drew's not wrong with a lot of what he says, but I've stuck my neck out on this already. I can't see Drew going anywhere. I don't believe that he's not re-signed. I think he's re-signed, because how would you set up a program with CM Punk that could be happening, 8-9 months down the line? Why is he on the poster of Bash in Berlin? He's in the world title match. It's just not WWE ways. I know that a certain someone's not there anymore, will never be coming back, but and it's Triple H's regime now. But I just don't think Triple H would do that. I really strongly don't. It seems crazy to think that Drew would go into WrestleMania for a championship, or even if he lost, and then would just be a free agent. It just feels like you're going out on the highest way possible, almost on the biggest show. Like when Edge went out, yes, he was a main eventer on SmackDown against Sheamus, but he hadn't been doing nothing for like the previous few months, so it's kind of like it was just a one-off thing. This feels different, so I personally feel he's not going anywhere, but I'm happy to be proven wrong, because I think that would be unprecedented on all sides. And then hey, look, All In's again at Wembley later this year. We wouldn't be against the Drew Galloway appearance, would we?
No, not at all. Like, I mean, to be honest, I think even if he's not re-signing with WWE, I don't think he's going to AEW, because I just think they're top heavy right now, and maybe what he wants to achieve, he would have to join the queue, sort of thing. But yeah, I think even if he hasn't actually re-signed, I do believe, like you're saying, he will re-sign. He might just be doing a play for money, for more money, like run it really close to the end and then sign and then get the best deal possible. Who knows? But yeah, I think he sticks around. He's pretty much one of the key factors for WWE, like a main man there. I remember during the pandemic period when Roman was first starting off his run, he called Drew his favorite number 2. Whenever he doesn't want to do anything, he doesn't want to do a media appearance, he tells them to call Drew, tell him to go do it, sort of thing, which I thought was great. But yeah, Drew has kind of company man written on him, I think. So I expect him to stick around too.
Absolutely, indeed. There, I agree as well. And Eric Douglas says, I think Tiffany has the potential to be one of the best call-ups in recent memory. I completely agree with this because of the fact she's been winning match after match after match. And I think, Max, you'd probably agree. But also, just recently, I've seen this on social media. You've actually interviewed Tiffany Stratton just recently.
Yeah, I spoke to Tiffany Stratton last Tuesday, I think it was. Really good opportunity, and she was really cool with me. But we're talking about Elimination Chamber, and obviously, like, the situation of the crowd just absolutely loving her when she came out. And I asked her, do you have like ties to Australia, sort of thing? She said nothing. She didn't expect it, but even just, I think with Tiffany Stratton, and I actually done a video on my channel about this, I think her success is more so a great thing to how good the NXT development process is now working. I know we all loved, black and gold NXT, but if we're completely honest with ourselves, that they lost themselves, they lost their identity, they turned into an indie show under WWE, and they weren't developing people. That's why the likes of Ricochet aren't any kind of, they're not better off right now than they were when they came into WWE, because he wasn't really developed in terms of character-wise. I think right now NXT are just knocking it out of the park. They're developing people very fast. They've got a factory. And although, we want to see the Okadas, Mercedes come back, Will Ospreays in WWE, because they are producing this level of talent, a Braun Breaker, Tiffany Stratton, they don't need to spend big money on these other people. So yeah, I think Tiffany Stratton she's probably going after Charlotte's neck. I know that obviously the comparisons will be there, 2 blonde women and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, I just think her ascent is just completely down to just the revamped NXT. I don't think we would ever thought we'd be praising NXT 2.0. We thought that was a dire time, but she's a product of it.
She is indeed, and to be fair, she's only been wrestling for like 2 years, and she's done amazing with how it's almost like a duck to water, to be fair. Like she's taking to it, and she could be. We talked about Money in the Bank earlier in this video. At the start of the year, myself and Nick Steve did a shout for Chelsea Green potentially would be amazing with a briefcase. However, I do feel right now, Tiffy time, she's that over. You can imagine the merch as well with the pink briefcase being out there, the Barbie style briefcase. I think there's merch written all over it for her, and I think she's got a top star in the making in the future. Like you say, the dream match for her is Charlotte. If they build her up like they're building her up at the moment, I mean, honestly, she could be someone that could be facing a Charlotte in a future WrestleMania. We'll have to wait and see.
Definitely.
PS has got a hard question. We said about these hard-hitting questions. Who's got the most, has the incredible heat of the best? Who's the best? Basically, who's got the best heel of these three here? Dominic Mysterio, Don Callis, or Logan Paul?
If we're talking about like genuine heat that people don't like, I would say maybe Don Callis. Like, I think Logan Paul is like 50-50. It's not even like too crazy in terms of his response. People like to boo him. People love to boo Dominic Mysterio. I think it's just enjoyment at this point. I think you must have saw clips where he was getting booed at his wedding the other day. By his family. Like, so yeah, that's just become a thing. So yeah, I think probably Don Callis is the one that is just like more detestable right now.
He's a carny piece of S word, isn't he? Let's be fair. That's the general consensus. He can come out and just the music as well. It fits his character so perfectly with the Tron as well. Like, he's just despisable. Logan Paul might eventually though have this crown of the three of them because of the Prime logo in the middle of the ring going to every premium live event soon. How do you feel about a Prime central design in the middle of every single wrestling ring for WWE going forward?
Well, luckily, I don't know if it's lucky, but they said it's just for the PLEs. Look, I'm happy for Logan Paul and KSI. I think that's a remarkable business move to be first in WWE's history to have a ring sponsor, and it's their big Prime bottle. Like, for me, I just think like, can we just take the color out of it, make it like black and white, so it just looks like a regular ring sponsor sort of thing. The big red, white, and blue is messing with my eyes. I don't like it. But other than that, like, kudos to them. That's extraordinary, piece of business.
I agree with the business play. It's been amazing. Like I say, surely there must be a different flavor where there's one that's just a bit easier on the eyes. That's pretty much what we're looking for from it, really. But I'm sure there'll be more sponsors coming along, and I'm looking forward to a Slim Jim in the corner some point in the near future as well, because that'll be in the future for sure. Nubik over a question for us now. So, who's going to face the Kabuki Warriors at WrestleMania 40 now that Shayna and Zoe are out of the way? A lot of rumors speculating might get Damage Control. I'm guessing it'll be the Kabuki Warriors and Dakota Kai against Bianca, Naomi, and Jade Cargill. Could you see that as a 6-woman tag team match? It does seem like it would make a lot of sense. Going back to Tiffany Stratton, no, Tiffany versus Bianca could make a lot of sense as well. It'd be interesting. Maybe it just be Naomi and Jade versus the Kabuki Warriors with Dakota Kai as the manager at ringside. A lot of variables. How do you see it playing out at this moment?
Yeah, I think they probably use this women's tag team spot to get a lot of the women on the card. Maybe do like a fatal 4-way tag team situation. So you might get Kabuki Warriors, might get Indy and Candice, might get Kaden and is it Kaden and Katana? Yeah, get them on as well. Maybe someone else as well. Jade Cargill, I see maybe her getting more of like a segment, like maybe a live segment in the ring or something like that, or maybe a backstage segment as opposed to a match. I don't think at this point we can put her out there. Like, a tag match wouldn't be a bad idea, but then if the first time we've seen her in a WWE ring was a Royal Rumble, and the second time we're seeing her is, in a tag match at WrestleMania, and then, it was rumored that she was supposed to be in the Elimination Chamber, all of a sudden it's like, why do we keep putting her in these multi-women situations? When is she going to have the singles match? And you don't want the fans to have some type of preconceived idea about that. So yeah, I think you go with just leaving Jade Cargill out, spotlight her because it's WrestleMania and she's clearly, a big star for them for the future, but leave her out of the wrestling, I would say.
Interesting. I mean, for me, I would prefer if Cargill was to be in action, her against Nia Jax because they had the Rumble spot, and they could make it like a short match. They haven't got. They could just do the key spots there, just enough to kind of go, "Whoa, that's impressive," and we're wanting more. Like say, if Jade isn't ready, for example, they can then kick the can further down the road for the next special thing they're going to do with her in a couple of months' time. But it does feel like that we've waited quite a while for Jade. So I don't know. Like you say, she's protected in that tag team match as well. But like maybe a segment is the best way to go. If not.
Yeah, like so the suggestion of her having a one-on-one match in Nia Jax, I'll take that. I think that's a good suggestion. But like I say, that's one-on-one. So it looks like, wow, okay, this is going to be a bit of a showcase, an exhibition match sort of thing. Continuing to put her into like multi-women situations, I think is the problem. So I'd take nothing over a multi-women situation, but I'll definitely take a singles match.
Let's see where you're coming from there. And I've got to say, I agree with the Kabuki Warriors shout of a multi-women tag team match. Does seem to be the most logical move that they could make at this point. So maybe Shayna and Zoe aren't quite out of the woods just yet. I can imagine they'd squeeze their way into the match somewhere at WrestleMania. I can answer this question in one word, I reckon. Do you think Tiffany Stratton is going to be a future women's champion, Pierre? Yes, I do.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I'm not with most fans saying that she should win the women's Money in the Bank this year. I think that for me, Chelsea Green has to win the Money in the Bank. And I know people might say it's going back too much towards comedy and stuff, but I just feel like we could get great TV out of Chelsea Green as Money in the Bank briefcase holder. Give it to Tiffany the following year. We don't need to rush everything with her, I don't think. She's going to be here for a long time.
She's organically getting over as well. And, you know, obviously Chelsea's shown as well the character work. It's working perfectly as well because Chelsea would be perfect with the briefcase because she'd be someone that would probably cash in and fail. But, you know, the thing is, though, she could just have so much fun with it. Like she would be that person that would go to cash in every week to the point that she doesn't cash it in and she runs out of time. She's that person that could be that either doesn't cash it in at all or she cashes it in at the very last minute because she has to and then loses. Because for her, that's the way Chelsea Green operates. It's not about wins and losses. It's all about just getting the moment and being remembered. And that's something that would work quite well for her character, I feel. But Jonesy switching things up in. What we're going to do now, just say, everyone, we're going to try and get through the rest of the questions we've got. We're going to try and fire through them so we get through everybody. We're going to go for about another 15 minutes tops on this one, and then we will be wrapping things up. So first off, Jonesy says, AEW really dropped the ball with Jay White in this whole form and split with the Gun Club. Says it was a waste of time. What's your thoughts with Jay White? Have they dropped the ball with of course, one Jay White?
Yeah, I would say so. Jay White came in the same ballpark of how, you know, Okada, Will Ospreay in New Japan. So for him to come in and be where he is, like last pay-per-view, he was on the pre-show. Like, although he's still over, he's not buried or anything like that. I do think they've dropped the ball. The whole storyline between the Bullet Club Gold joining up with the Acclaimed was to take down the Kingdom.
Yeah,
they haven't done that. And now they've split Gun Club and the Acclaimed. So definitely a waste of time.
Everything that they have tried to build with that sort of Bang Bang Scissor Gang just ended up being t-shirt sales. They didn't do anything that they promised they were going to do. And they've sold a few t-shirts and now they split them up. It just, for me, yeah, I would say they dropped the ball completely with that storyline. Undisputed Kingdom also been a drop the ball a little bit. I don't know where Wardlow with the group goes with now after this past week on Dynamite, but we'll see how it goes. Time just can turn things around. But I would agree that they have dropped the ball with Jay White. But again, at the same time, I would agree he's not been buried. I just feel when you look at how it's been from Full Gear to Revolution, it's a big drop down the card, and it's not a lot going on. But hopefully now it feels like there is some motion in play, at least with Jay White, because he's had a big win over Darby Allin this week, sending Darby Allin away. Of course, probably a lot of heat with the breakup that he did with the Acclaimed as well. That they've gone back to their true heel format. So let's see where it goes. I imagine they'll do the Ultimate Trio as champions for the time being. But let's say I do agree that Jay White is a top talent, and he'll probably get his turn at some point in the future in AEW. As Temple Place says, to accomplish everyone at the same time. So you know that's why he does not believe that Jay White is being wasted. We'll go into another question in the meantime. Oh, okay. Temple, I like this. CM Punk's first stance on AEW Big Business with Mercedes Mone is All Elite, which I guess is better.
First stance was incredible. CM Punk was returning to wrestling after 7 years. Yeah, there's gonna be nothing like first stance again. We shouldn't have even got first stance in the first place. Like, This Big Business was good. I don't think it was really, her segment was really punctuated by anything. The first segment, it was just more or less like, I'm here, I've arrived, sort of thing. But like that's about it. Yeah, I think First Dance was incredible.
I will agree, just because of the fact that, like you say, the monuments of CM Punk being away for so long, thinking we'd never get him back, and the fact that he did come back. I think it's always been a matter of time with Mercedes of where she would land. It's just when and where, and now fact is now we will see her on weekly TV for the first time in 2 years. It could prove to be a bigger play long term for AEW for Mercedes Mone, especially as CM Punk didn't last the entire time of his contract. But at the same time, we'll have to wait and see how it will go. But for me, as a personal preference, I'm a bigger CM Punk fan as well, so I will be biased and go with the First Dance. Josie says regarding Sasha's promo, just couldn't buy into what she was saying. I think the problem is that it almost booked to a mirror of Punk's debut, and therefore it felt like a stronger element of booking, where the Punk one felt more natural. Does that even make sense? Probably not. Sorry, it does make it does. I see where you're going with it, Jonesy. Don't worry. I think it felt like they were trying to replicate something rather than let the real emotion take over. And would you agree with that? Obviously, I made a comparison to like the First Dance before, but do you think that it was like just copy and paste, or do you really still feel it had an organic feel about it?
It was copy and paste in the sense of, we're going to make a big deal about this person coming in, which they did. And like I said, even just the fact that, you know, Mercedes is a woman, that you just don't even see these kind of things for women in wrestling. So I think that was incredible. But yeah, it didn't feel, that feeling wasn't there, because we see Sasha or Mercedes. We've seen her about the place. We're doing an interview just last week, talking about wrestling. We've seen her wrestling, you know, back last year. She's been featured on AEW at All In last year. So we know she's in and around it, sort of thing. Whereas Punk, you didn't see this guy. This guy swore he wasn't returning to wrestling. And when he came out and when he spoke, it was, you know, very much telling us why he's been away from the fans. Obviously taking some hits at WWE, which obviously perks our interest as fans as well. Mercedes never had anything bad to say. It was pretty much like, I'm here. I want to face everyone. I love the fans. I love my brother. I'm here. So, and then that was it. So yeah, it just never had the same effect as CM Punk's one.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, obviously, it feels like it's, I'm here, and we're going to slowly build me up and going to slowly get the story going. Where CM Punk, let's say, was been away so long, it was almost like a big reveal, just having him there, just saying some words, if you want, rather than like the, you know, with everything. So it's going to be interesting to see what will happen. And I can see why those comparisons are being made. But I do think, like you said, the longer play there, you know, Mercedes can have a bigger impact on the AEW roster, especially for the entire women's division. PS says, I personally think the immediately separating the Bang messages again, it was dragging Jay White down. So it's a good idea to start a feud with the Bullet Club Gold versus the Acclaimed and Darby Allin. Obviously, Darby Allin will be away. He's going to be climbing Mount Everest next month. So best wishes for him on that journey. Temple Place says Jay White and the Guns versus the Acclaimed of Billy Gunn, title versus title unification match. I imagine that one. I would have predicted that one would happen at Dynasty. However, as I said, AEW likes to rush things and give it to us on a weekly basis. Probably going to find it on a random collision somewhere, Mex.
Yeah, probably. I don't even know how I feel about the unification match. Just send the Ring of Honor champions back to Ring of Honor. So keep them off AEW TV. I don't need them to necessarily unify it. Just keep everyone separate and we'll be fine.
It should be a brand split for a reason. They're meant to be two different companies, but they don't do it with the title. So I agree with you. I prefer that. But then that way, at least if Jay White and the Guns have the AEW Trios Championships, then they don't have to go to Ring of Honor, because, as I say, time really more than anything. I don't have time for Ring of Honor, and I do want to see Jay White on my screen. Priest Heist of the Century on Mr. Heist of the Century. Could that be happening at WrestleMania, Max?
So my early prediction was that one or two things, in fact. He cashes in. I want him to cash in on Monday night after WrestleMania. I don't want him to emulate what Rollins done, because I think that's the best cash in ever. And I just want that to stay as it is. So yeah, maybe night after Mania, because I think that could punctuate that show very well, especially if Rollins retains. If Rollins retains, I need to see Priest cash in immediately. Or they can do something they've never done before and let the Money in the Bank run down literally till like maybe the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. because that's when he has to cash it in. And maybe if you don't want to make Priest champion, that's how you kind of do it, as opposed to him trying to cash in and losing it. He can just run out of time to cash it in, and maybe it won't make him look too bad.
Yeah, it could be a way to do it. I believe it's going to happen at the moment, especially if Drew doesn't win the title. I think then Priest walks away as the champion. We mentioned about Sammy winning Money in the Bank. Cashing in on Priest could still have the same effect as McIntyre, because McIntyre's kind of got that heel game where I still kind of feel like almost he's going to get more dastardly and more, dare I say, fun to watch the more he loses. You know, I want him to continue to spiral. So I almost want him to lose at WrestleMania, just because of the fact then he's got more reasons to complain, and he can blame Damian Priest and Chase Priest for 2 or 3 months afterwards. So it could be quite interesting to see how it's going to play out. But I could see it happening. But I do say with you as well, though, that the Raw after Mania could be fun, because it's been a long, long time since something like that has happened. I think Dolph Ziggler was the last one to do it. And if they want to make references of that in future, they may not want to mention one Ziggler, as he's now in TNA in New Japan. So having someone else there could be a way to go. And Temple Plays actually enjoys Drew McIntyre's Twitter game, best he's seen from a pro wrestler. So, right, we're going to go for a few more minutes. We'll get through as many questions as we can. Mex, we're going to go for literally 5 minutes. We're going to power through these, if you don't mind. So we're going to try and give us as good as answers as we can to get everyone's questions in the best we can. So no more comments, everyone. Thank you all for the comments and questions, though. We're going to get through what we can in 5 minutes. PS says, feud you like CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre or CM Punk versus Seth Rollins go first? For me, it would be CM Punk versus Drew, because they built it up on CM Punk's return, and then you can build Punk versus Rollins for WrestleMania next year.
I agree. I agree. That's it. Like, this is the SummerSlam match, I think. Punk versus McIntyre, maybe. And then, like you said, Punk Rollins at Mania next year.
There we go, indeed. Temple Place says, talking about Shelton Benjamin, he's finishing his dates with Noah, as he's was in a unit called Real, with many wrestlers there that I probably can't pronounce, so do apologize there. But Timothy Thatcher and Saxon Huxley are amongst that lot. They're Rene Dupree as well. Goodness, blast from the past there. But says Shelton Benjamin to become all elite and join the BCC. I would not be against that idea.
I wouldn't be against it. In the same breath, though, I kind of need the BCC to just end, because I just don't feel like they present as a faction. Like, obviously right now it's Moxley and Cesaro, or Claudio, sorry. Danielson kind of does his own thing. I don't remember the last time we even saw Utah on TV. So just be done with BCC. Like, it was a good time when it lasted.
Yeah, I can sort of see where you're coming from that, because it feels like it's just Mox and Claudio right now, and I'm happy for them to go for the tag team titles, if I'm brutally honest. CD in house, C Nation Dog, hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us. Temple Players actually making reference to the Rev Pro match this year with Oku and Ospreay apparently outdone themselves from 2022. Another match now we're going to need to find.
Yeah, I watched this one back. I wasn't in attendance for that one. I watched it back. And yeah, it was a great match, but I think there's just something about being there and actually living it as you're watching it, sort of thing. So that's why the 2022 one was my favorite.
Absolutely. Dylan, thank you for joining us on the channel. He says that he thinks that it's going to be the hardest fight for Drew against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Can't believe you're looking forward to it indeed. Temple Place says that Jay White is 31 years old, still pretty young when it comes to signing with AEW. Can't push everyone at the same time. He's got plenty of time to be a world champion in AEW. Fair play to that. Certainly a time looks to be on his side. He says, I'm not going. CD is going to SmackDown tomorrow. Obviously, Mex, we've heard this from CD for a few times. He's looking forward to going to SmackDown. The Rock will be in attendance, but he's not going to film the entrance tomorrow in person, just so he can enjoy it. And I'll tell you what, soak it in. I think, was it Jericho used to say, drink it in, man?
Drink it in, man.
What you got to do. It's what you got to do. You got to take it in there. Dylan here says that after WrestleMania 40, it's going to be all about Bron Breakker. 100% that kid is the future. Does feel like he's the future. A lot going on his side right now.
Yeah, I think they probably dropped the tag titles at Stand and Deliver, him and Baron Corbin. That will, kind of help his full-time move over to SmackDown. And then, yeah, just like Tiffany, I think we're really going to see a lot from Breakker on SmackDown.
I think so indeed here. Jonesy says that Rhea Ripley is the most important and best women's in the women's wrestling today. No one comes close. Our thoughts on that one. She certainly feels a league in her own at the moment. However, I would say that still the dream match of her and Bianca Belair that they've not done yet. And I feel those two, even though Bianca's not in the title picture at the second, I think that's kind of just to give fans a break from it. I still would see them on almost a pedestal near each other.
Yeah, I think what they really need to do over the next few weeks and stuff is, oh, months, sorry, is build up the competitors. This is where they failed last year. After she won the title from Charlotte at Mania, they gave her Zelina Vega and 2 matches with Natalia, and it's like, we know these guys aren't beating her or even coming close. So, they've got like the likes of a Becky Lynch that might have a second go. Liv Morgan, they can easily kind of build up. Raquel Gonzalez or Rodriguez, I always forget what her surname is. They can kind of build her up again. So, yeah, give us more believable competitors against her.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, she's been so dominant. I think that's why she has that pedestal at the moment. Why people would feel that way with Rhea Ripley at this particular moment. Obviously, when you put someone that's going to feel at her level, WrestleMania is going to feel that. It's going to be really putting Rhea at a different pedestal if she can put away Becky Lynch, which I think is what is going to happen. CD says one tag team grabs the Raw Tag Team Championship and one grabs the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, and that's how you split them at WrestleMania. Of course, the big ladder match is going to happen. 6 teams. Goodness, it's going to be bedlam with all of them at the same time. 3 teams from Raw, 2 teams from SmackDown. Sounds like it's going to be a fun time. And I like this suggestion from CD. Do we need to split the tag titles?
Yes, is the answer. Like this, I don't think so. I think the crowd will maybe be pretty confused at WrestleMania. If that happens, they might boo it, in fact. But I agree, we do need to split them. I think we've kind of rejuvenated the tag divisions on both shows. So I think they can carry, a tag division each. But yeah, just not like that, in my opinion.
Maybe they could just do a case of where a team wins it, and then we have the World Tag Titles and the WWE Tag Team titles come back after WrestleMania. That could be the split that they could do if they don't do it that way. But I'm not against it, CD. I would like Pretty Deadly to grab the SmackDown ones personally, if that was going to be the case. But hey, one can only dream, eh? We've got Obafemi being the potential one of the best call-ups in memory. It gives him early 2004 Batista vibes. Obafemi's going to be a star.
Yeah, they've kind of invested him in very early sort of thing, but you could see why at the same time. Like, he's going to be really good. He's probably going to hold that title for a while. To take the title off him now is going to be an issue, and you could actually just see he's growing with every week, more confidence, just different elements to his in-ring game, promo game. So yeah, he's doing well.
Absolutely. Last question we're going to take. Sorry, everybody, we are running out of time here. Jonesy says, any thoughts on WWE not having a UK PLE in 2024? Sometimes it appears seen as comments from last year's Money in the Bank about a UK WrestleMania. Not true or planned. Yeah, I think Cena was just let's say buttering us up at the time. However, we have been blessed, I suppose, the last couple of years having a PLE in the UK. There hasn't been one announced so far this year, but it's not too late to announce one, it feels.
Yeah, they can still do one of these quote unquote B pay-per-views. We won't get a WrestleMania just because of something as simple as time zones. It doesn't work best for them. It's the same reason when people wanted The Rock at Elimination Chamber. In the US, you're not going to put The Rock on TV at 3 a.m. in the morning. It doesn't make business sense. So, yeah, I think that's the one reason we'll probably not ever get a WrestleMania in this country. But for other pay-per-views, we had one last year. We can't be spoiled. So, let it go around. At least Europe. Europe's not bad, and then maybe we get one next year.
Paris and Berlin, obviously the two that definitely got it at this moment. Should there one come in, maybe a fast lane. A bit me wonders maybe War Games could be fun, but I don't know if they'd be able to fit it into a UK arena.
I mean, they could. War Games comes at the expense of seating in any arena it's in, because you got to put up 2 rings and 2 cages and stuff. So yeah, you could, but again, it's a lot of these countries we have to remember as well. What I've come to learn, like even when we had Clash of the Castle in Cardiff, these countries are paying the WWE to come. You see what I mean? It's tourism. Like France have paid WWE, Berlin have paid WWE. So does London need to pay anyone to come to London? This sort of thing. Like, people are gonna come anyway. So when we get it, we enjoy it. But I think we just have to remember it's not personal. It's just business.
That's what it comes to. There's been big business talked about at the end of the video as well as the start of the video there. So thank you all for your questions. Sorry for the ones we've not been able to get through, but we do appreciate everyone that has got involved on this video. Of course, if you have missed our reaction to the debut of Mercedes Mone, go back to the start of the video. We talked for about 15 minutes on that, and then we've been answering your questions for the last hour now. And of course, like we said, we've been talking about WrestleMania as well. The matches that have been added, of course, Gunther versus Sami Zayn, of course, that tag team ladder match as well. We can assume as well that Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso will probably be confirmed later this week. But I want to say a big, massive thank you, not just to our chat who have all been keeping us busy for the last hour. A big thank you to someone I like to call The Real Deal, because his Instagram game is always on top. Mex, the WrestleMania UK, tell everyone once again where they can find you on YouTube and what you're doing right now, because goodness, you're a busy boy. We're very happy that we've been able to get you on here today.
Yeah, and Steve, like I say, anytime, man, I'm more than happy to come on here. One of my favorite channels. Yeah, WrestleMania UK, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, all of those kind of places. You could also catch me on Rest Things channel, creating content. I actually saw a comment from, is it C Nation Dog, about Tony Khan and Ring of Honor. I've literally just in the last 24 hours uploaded my thoughts on Ring of Honor since it's 2 years since Tony Khan purchased it, so you can go over to Rest Things and see that video. But yeah, all of those regular social media places, and of course Gorilla Position for WWE as well.
Amazing stuff indeed. Make sure to do that indeed. As soon as this video is finished, I will look to try and get a lot of the tags in there as well, so you can go and find Mex and you can keep up with what he's doing in the wrestling world, because I can say it's a lot of fun and exciting stuff, and it's a really exciting time to be following Mex's journey currently in the wrestling world. But that's all from us anyway. Thank you for watching. If you haven't seen the Rewind episode, that's where I do retro reviews. WrestleMania 20 was the one that you all voted for. That was live for myself and Alex Steve last night. That podcast is available for you now. There will be also a podcast coming later this week as well. It's already been pre-recorded. It is WrestleMania What Ifs, the matches that we never got that maybe we should have got. So make sure to check out the video when it drops later this week. Thanks all for watching. Look after yourselves and each other, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Thanks for watching.